Everybody, welcome to Wake Up People. This is a show about real people talking about real social issues. Today on the show we have Chris Zimmerman.
Hello everybody.
Thanks for coming, Chris. Just to give everyone some insight on who Chris is and what he will be talking about today. Chris Zimmerman is a professional musician. He will be discussing his work as a musician and how his career has been kind of a constant uphill battle with people kind of putting him down as though his career is not a legitimate career. Being a musician is not a real job. So he's going to kind of elaborate on that to kind of defeat the stigma that people tend to think about musicians, because it is a legitimate career and he's really successful at it. So he's going to tell you all about that. So let's start from the beginning. Why did you want to be a musician as a career?
Basically, went to talk to my guidance counselors when I was in high school. They told me you should really become a musician because you can make a lot of money, and that's a lie. That didn't happen. I went to my guidance counselors and told them I wanted to be a musician, and they told me, no, you can't do that. That's not a real career. So it kind of works out perfectly. It all started right from there, right in that guidance counselor's office. There's a lot of pushback, but the more I played, I took drum lessons at the age of 12. And the more I played drums, the more I knew that this is what I do best. This is what I have a passion for. And I'm always thinking about rhythms. I'm always thinking about melodies and music. And I'm only happy when I'm playing music. So, and I didn't seem to be very good at anything else. And I didn't enjoy doing anything else. So I'm like, let's just do it. I mean, it's a tough field, but you know, if you work hard, you'll get something out of it in anything you do.
So how did you start your career? Like
the actual career.
Yeah, like how you actually got in the profession, because now, well, outside of COVID-19, you were performing at bars like on the daily. So how did that process start for you?
A slow process. Basically, when I was about 18, 19, I started playing in multiple bands. So I played in a band called Far From the Trees, which actually the lead singer of that band is an Ottawa musician that's still playing and doing pretty well, named Danielle Allard. And I also played in a band called The Turn, and we did like a prog rock kind of thing. And I just wanted to play with as many people as possible and just started playing gigs. And at first they weren't so lucrative. We weren't making much money, sometimes making $0. Sometimes, believe it or not, we were somehow losing money at a gig. There was a rental fee and we didn't sell enough tickets to pay for the room. But kind of built up, and eventually with word of mouth, I started getting calls. I think I got my first session call where someone said, hey, we need a drummer for some studio work and a couple live gigs. And it threw me off. And I was thinking this person probably expects me to play for free. I'm like, well, I don't want to play for free. I'm in enough bands. I don't get paid very much doing that. So I asked, like, hey, is this a paying gig? And she's like, yeah, we were going to pay you. How much do you charge? And I was just like, blew my mind. I'm like, oh my God, I don't know.
You're probably like, how much do I charge? Like,
how much do you have?
Yeah, I will take it all.
I think she offered a pretty good amount. She said that she offers something equivalent to the musician union's wages, but if you want more, let me know. I hope this is okay. And I'm like, yeah, that's pretty good what you're offering here. So after that, I started, you wouldn't get too many calls like that, but I started playing in more bands, started doing session gigs once in a while. And yeah, that's, I did that for about 4 or 5 years. At one point I was playing in 6 or 7 different bands, playing the drums and averaging between 2008 and 2015, I was probably averaging, 60 to 100 shows. Now I'm averaging a bit more, but that's because I learned how to sing and how to play guitar.
I would say you play more gigs as a guitarist and a singer than as a drummer. So how did that transition
Yes,
happen?
that is a very good observation, because that's so true. And I didn't expect that to be the case, but it was about 2015, 2016, where again, I was playing in a bunch of different bands, and I was actually considering moving to a different city. I was finding Ottawa wasn't very drummer friendly or full band friendly. It was most of the gigs that were readily available that you can make money at typically were for solo artists or duos or acoustic trios, and there were very few and far between full band gigs. And I could see that with the fact that every band I was playing drums with was playing maybe at once every 3 months or something, or once every 2 months, or sometimes once a month. That would be a lot. I was trying to do this full time, and I wanted to gig full time. So I kind of looked at the guys who were doing it full time and realized that most of them weren't drummers. So I started just learning. I learned some guitar in high school. Didn't really take it seriously. I'd never sang before. I started singing. I did a gig at the side stage of the Tulip Festival with a friend of mine, I think in 2016, and I sang like 4 or 5 songs. He was a really good singer. He sang the rest, and we started a little duo, and we slowly started learning songs, and I slowly started singing a little bit more. And at one point, I just, he was sick and I couldn't find a duo partner. I said, okay, I'm going to try to do this solo, and got through the gig. And from there, it kind of just built on that, and got a little more comfortable singing, and improved my guitar skills. And I kept getting bookings. So that really upped, it really upped my, my gig calendar. I went from 100 gigs, 60 to 100 gigs a year to 150 to 200, which blew my mind.
No, that's amazing. A lot of musicians don't get that opportunity, so.
Well, yeah, a lot of musicians won't just learn like a new instrument.
No, like it really shows to how passionate you are about music to just, okay, I'm not getting gigs as a drummer. I'm going to learn how to be a singer and a guitar player.
Yeah, just do it, right? Like Nike.
Yeah. We're gonna have to copyright that now. Okay, so have you received a lot of pushback throughout your career? You kind of discussed a little bit about it, but with your counselor, but do you want to elaborate a little bit more on that?
I feel like I could talk about pushback for 2 hours. Let's see. So I started right at the beginning there with my guidance counselor. So yeah, there's a lot of pushback, because most people don't understand that you can make money as a musician. That not every musician is just like a garage band, lives in his parents' basement. Ironically, I was living in my parents' basement for a little bit there, but not everyone's that player, that person that live in his parents' basement and not making any money, but like living in his own head. A lot of musicians who do this full time are very realistic, and they're very good business people. They're smart about their decisions, because you have to be. There are a lot of people that are kind of in their own heads. They'll talk a big game, like I'm going to tour the world later this year, but really they have no plans of that. They don't have their product solid. But there's a lot of people who will make their will set their goals, set realistic goals, and if they set big goals, they're willing to put in the work to reach those goals. And a lot of people don't see that. So the guidance counselor, she told me right away, nope, can't be a musician. My parents anytime they had a chance to jump in, and if I said, it's like, yeah, I did masonry a little bit in high school, like if the music ever fails, maybe I should do masonry. They would chime in and be like, yeah, you should have a second career set up just in case, a backup. You should work on the backup now. I'm like, well, why don't I work on the current career right now? Because I'm not finished building that up before I talk about. But if you're asking for career advice, people jump to the financial, like money, stability. I feel like people don't really look at sanity and mental health when I give that kind of advice, because there's a lot of people who are in these 9-to-5 jobs in steady careers that they don't necessarily like. They prefer to be doing something else, and it really messes with their head. I know a lot of people who that they're making good money, but anytime I talk to them, they're like, man, I wish I could do what you're doing. And to be honest, sometimes I'm like, well, I wish I had the steady paycheck that you had, but yeah.
But then you wouldn't be doing the thing that you're most passionate about.
Exactly. I'm not jumping to a steady 9-to-5, to a steady career. Actually, I am working a steady career right now, a steady 9-to-5 because of COVID. But other than that, once we get back up and running, looking forward to getting back to work.
Yeah. What are you doing right now during COVID?
I am working 2 separate driving jobs. So I'm delivering auto parts for a company called Posey & Brown, Monday to Friday, doing that 45 hours a week. And on Saturdays, I'm delivering packages for FedEx Ground. And I'm doing Skype lessons in the evening, Skype music lessons.
What going back to music, what is some advice you would give someone who's just starting out in the music community, who does want it to be their career like you have made it?
Networking is very important. Honestly, also making sure that you practice a ton, and you make sure that you put your best foot forward. Don't be going to open mics and then you're trying a song that you just played once. If you want to make music your career, you got to make sure your product is good. But beyond that, you got to network. You got to meet musicians. You got to find the gigs that you want and attend those gigs. If you want to play like at a bigger venue, that should be where you go to attend shows. Talk to the musicians that are playing there. Talk to the the sound crew. Make as many friends as you can in the industry, and just be friendly. That's the first step. Like a lot of my gigs I owe to just being at the venues, going out to see shows, meeting musicians. I've gotten gigs just drinking a beer beside someone else who just found out his drummer is sick, and it's like, oh, hey, I need someone for tomorrow. Hey, Chris, you available? Yeah. Done. And then suddenly you end up with a gig. Like,
So constantly putting yourself out there.
yeah, exactly. Just expanding your network.
Building relationships and being
Yeah.
kind.
Yeah, that's the yeah. Don't just go and be like, hey, I'm better than you. Like, don't
I'm
have
this
that
big
attitude.
deal. You better pay me lots of money and book me.
Here's my rate. It's on this card.
Yeah, I imagine that wouldn't get you a lot of gigs.
Be funny though.
What is upcoming for Chris Zimmerman and The Weather, which is your
Yeah.
band?
Yes, that is my band. We got a show. We're releasing a song. Well, the song's out right now. It's a song called Mixed Signals. It's on Spotify, Apple Music, all the other streaming services, Google Play, YouTube Music, and there's a whole bunch more. Tidal, is that another one, I think? And yeah, it's called Mixed Signals. It's by my full band, Chris Zimmerman and The Weather. And we have a video release party on August 2nd at a venue called Live on Elgin. And it's their first show since reopening.
That's amazing that you get to be part of that, like the grand opening, and after them closing for so long.
Yeah, the venues, specifically venues on Elgin Street, because Elgin Street in Ottawa, they tore up the whole thing like a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. So the businesses on Elgin Street have been going through a rough time, and with the COVID shutdown, I can't imagine. Live on Elgin it's an Ottawa based. It's a place run by artists for artists, and like they're starving right now for business, and they really deserve to be supported. We have one of the carefulest and safest return to reopening plans that I've really seen. I haven't seen any plan that's been dictated as well as their plan. the show on August 2nd, you have to buy tickets by the table. So you have to buy a table of 4. So you have to find 3 friends in your personal bubble to go with. And that's your bubble. Those are the people you can mingle with. You can't leave your table to go to other tables. You're going to be given a specific time to enter the venue. It's not going to be doors at 7. It's going to be 7:03 is when you enter.
Wow, that's really thorough and in a good way. Yeah.
They've really thought of a lot of different things, but getting used to the new normal. And this is probably going to be the new normal for live music for a little while.
Yeah, and it's so important that people follow those directions, not only for their safety, but for jobs like yours that can't exist without these measures.
Exactly.
Like right now.
I'll do what they say, please.
So yeah, it's like, please listen so that we can stay open and I can play my music and make money.
Exactly.
So you talked about your new single coming out, Mixed Signals. I like
that.
What was the writing process of that song?
So many people have asked me, what was the writing process of this one? It's the simplest writing process. I'm pretty sure I wrote it after, a couple beers on a Friday night. And it's just, I wanted to write something upbeat, something a little more bluegrass.
Yeah.
And, I came up with the chorus line first. And ironically, the chorus line, is kind of about, being told, hey, you're never going to make money playing music. The chorus line, I'm just a poor boy and that's all right with me. I play guitar, I sing some songs, that's all I want to be. It kind of works out perfectly with that topic.
Yeah.
So that became the chorus line, and all the verses were kind of like talking about a night out on the town, basically. But yeah, it was just me, and I wrote it all in one night, and we built it up, and when we recorded it, it got a lot more bluegrass than I expected. We used a different kind of guitar. I think it was like Nashville style guitar or something. My producer just handed me, he's like, play it on this guitar, try that, and play near the bridge to give it a little more of a plucky sound.
So did you write this, did you record this song amidst the pandemic?
I recorded the song in 2018 and it never made the album, my EP, because it was so different from everything else that I put on that EP. Like, we put all the songs together. I started recording Mixed Signals. It's going to be a nice change. It's going to be sweet. And I made a plan that I was going to release a couple different songs on a B-side a little bit later so I could follow up my first release. That never happened. It was more of a financial thing. So Mixed Signals, I'd started recording it, but it was just sitting there on the back burner. The shutdown happened. I kind of, like a light bulb. Like, oh yeah, Mixed Signals. Maybe we could release that song. Like, all the parts are already recorded. The only thing we added was bass guitar, which wasn't recorded yet. We got my producer to lay down the bass there, Mr. Eric Eggleston. And we got Bridget O'Regan, a wicked fiddler from Ottawa, who lives in Toronto right now, and she's doing really well, to record in her home studio.
So it kind of all came together through the pandemic. So it's a song that's built over the years.
It is, yeah. And I did go in and re-record my vocal track because, I don't know, as a fellow singer, you can probably agree that you listen to stuff you sang 2 years ago. People will tell you, it's like, that sounds good. And you're just like, oh.
Yeah, well, it's important to put out something that you're really proud of.
Yeah, I've learned that the hard way. It's like, never, when it's something like a professional recording that you're gonna have to promote and push, never like listen back and you're like, that's probably good enough. And it's like, no, that's what people are gonna be listening to for a long time, and you're gonna be listening to. It's a recording. It's not a live gig.
So you got a lot of pushback from your counselor when you wanted to pursue a career in music, yeah. And now you've gone on to play gigs all over Ottawa. You've released singles and an album, and also you did a tour in Canada. So you want to talk about that tour?
Yeah, it was basically me having a quarter life crisis and needing to, get everything off my bucket list before I turn 30, because that's when the world ends. uh, but in all seriousness, I wanted to. I'd done a lot of touring with a band called Twin Flames. That we did a lot of touring out to the East Coast, a lot of touring up north to Nunavut, Northwest Territories, and the Yukon. And I kind of realized the only places I haven't played were those three Western provinces. British Columbia, Alberta, and Saskatchewan. And I thought, I'm releasing my first EP. Let's just book a full tour here. Let's just do it. So, it's first time playing in a lot of these cities, a lot of these provinces, and setting foot in a lot of these provinces. I wasn't expecting much, but reaching out, I ended up finding a lot of promoters that were willing to open their doors and put me on the bill. I got to work with some pretty cool promoters and pretty cool bands across the country, and we didn't play to any empty rooms. I was kind of expecting to play to one or two empty rooms because I don't know anybody in the cities, but all the shows were well organized. The promoters did a good job. The opening bands did a good job in promoting on their end, and it was a whole lot of fun. And I crossed it off my bucket list. I played before the age of 30. Played in every province and territory in Canada.
That's like a huge thing. That'd be like the highlight on the resume for like the rest of my life if I had that.
Yeah. Oh, it's on the resume.
Yeah, it's awesome. So you were talking about your new single that just got released, and there's also a music video coming out. With who are some of the other musicians that you worked with on the track?
Good question. A lot of them, as mentioned, the track we started recording back in 2018. So I'll start with the guys that played their parts back then. So on the keyboard, we had Tyler Keeley, which is a great Ottawa area musician. So he's playing the keyboards, and Brandon Fry is playing the mandolin on the track and doing some wicked backup vocals. And on the bass, we had for that track, I think I mentioned this earlier, Eric Eggleston, the guy who produced the track, played the bass on that because it was during phase 1 of COVID-19 and we did not want to bring in any other musicians. And Bridget O'Regan recorded the fiddle from her home studio. And I believe that's it. Like, I played the acoustic guitar, I played the drums, and yeah, those were the musicians who played on the track.
Awesome. It's a huge Ottawa, Toronto collaboration. Big Canadian musicians coming together.
And the ironic thing is, the musicians that are in my band, none of those are on the track, which is interesting. It's my band is just a rock trio. So shout out to, like, I've been pushing this track so much. I want to just give a quick shout out to the guys who actually play with me live, is Kyle Moon, Thaddeus Kyle Moon, and James Reed.
So let's end this kind of on a really good positive note. What is something that you would tell little Chris now that you've kind of made it so far with your music?
Little Chris, eh? Let's see. A few things I tell that guy. Just do it. Anything's possible. Like, it's so true. Put in the work. Don't stop putting in the work. Calm down. Don't stress out too much. Take everything in stride, one day at a time, one beat at a time. And you will reach your goals. Not every day is going to be a good day when you're trying to build towards something new. But with patience and hard work, you will get there. You can do it, little Chris.
I think it's a great message, and it's one that a lot of musicians can use as well, to kind of just keep going even when you get kicked down. Even when people say it's not a legitimate career, people like you prove every day that it can be if you put the work into it.
Well, thanks a lot, Ashley.
Yeah. Well, thanks again for coming on the show. It was a lot of fun having you. And if you want to check out Chris, why don't you drop some of your links right now?
My links. You can find me on the Facebook at Chris Zimmerman Music, facebook.com/Chris Zimmerman Music. Same for Instagram at Chris Zimmerman Music. We got a website, which is just chriszimmerman.ca, and search me on Spotify, all those streaming services under Chris Zimmerman and the Weather.
Awesome. Well, thanks for coming on the show. That was a lot of fun, and I think you're going to wake a lot of people up. And music is a legitimate career, people.
Yeah, stay woke.